guys, welcome back to Cleats Off the Couch. I'm your host, Delcary. Guys, we've been talking about predictions for the 2022 NFL season. We started off hot, getting the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the way, of which I am a fan. And guys, been moving through, inspired by TikTok live conversations, been moving through one team from each division at a time. So that way it gives a nice spill around the league rather than just focused into one division. And different fans who are listening can get a feel for different teams throughout. But guys, the New York Jets this year, I want to talk about them this morning. The New York Jets, I said a little bit about when I was talking about the Steelers, are the team in the NFL, especially the team in the AFC, who I think could surprise some people this year. They're going to be exciting to watch. I'm actually really excited to watch some New York Jets football. I thought that they had arguably the top draft this season, picking up who they get. Jermaine Johnson, they got Sauce Gardner, they got Garrett Wilson. Their offensive line from last year was looking good. Zach Wilson, he had an okay season last year. I think a lot of improvement. Elijah Moore had a good season. Corey Davis is looking pretty solid for where he's at. They got Jordan Whitehead at safety, C.J. Mosley at middle backer, Quinnen Williams at D tackle. So they've got some pieces of the puzzle that I think could really, really pay off for them this year. In the AFC East, obviously it's going to be hard to go up against the Bills. The Bills are the front runner this year, and I think all of us know that. In fact, I think that's going to be one of the things that gives some difficulty to the Bills, is being the front runner. Don't get me wrong, I think there'll be double-digit wins. We'll talk about them when we talk about them, but the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Jets, I think the Jets have a lot of opportunity for improvement. Last year, they ended last in the AFC East at 4-13, only 4 wins. I see huge improvement over that. We'll talk through the schedule, how we think they'll stack up this year. But they're a team that is going to be electric at times. And then they're going to be a team that, yep, that's the Jets at other times. I really think that's a team that we're looking at this year. I had mentioned, again, when I talked about the Steelers, I had mentioned that the Detroit Lions, I think, are going to be that team in the NFC. But here in the AFC, the New York Jets are going to be exciting to watch. They have potential to be second in the AFC East. They also have potential to be last in the AFC East. I mean, the Patriots have improved a little. The Dolphins have improved a little. I said that I think the Dolphins are going to be a team that underwhelms this year. The Jets, I don't think they will. I think they're going to be electric at times. So it's going to be fun to watch. But I went through a lot of their lineup because I was looking at that as I was preparing for this episode. I'm just excited for the Jets. I don't know why, guys. I'm excited for the Jets. I'm not a New York Jets fan. I don't really honestly care about the Jets. But the Jets have been a nobody for how long? So same with Detroit. That's probably why I'm partially excited about it. I love the underdog story. Talked last time about Mitch Trubisky coming into Pittsburgh. I like the underdog story. I want to see success for the unexpected. And I think we can see that from the New York Jets. I was actually surprised that the Jets guys were able to grab Gardner, Sauce, Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson. They were able to grab up all 3 of those guys in the draft this year. If I'm honest, that's insane. I really think that's going to pay big dividends for them. And with that, actually, if I remember correctly, Garrett Wilson, I have to remember, he was the one from Ohio State, I believe. Yeah, Garrett Wilson was my top receiving pick. Out of the receivers this year, he was the only one. Now, I could be off on some of my findings here, but I remember looking through the list of receivers, and I believe Garrett Wilson was the only one who wasn't dealing with an injury. He hadn't had a big injury of late. He had great production. He played for Ohio State, right? Big. Sometimes you can lean into players who have played at big schools like that and have had great production. And so I thought Garrett Wilson was the top receiving pick coming out of this draft, and the Jets nabbed him up. Sauce Gardner early on. Obviously, there was the toss up between him and the other top DB. Right now, his name's escaping my mind. But they got him. And then Jermaine Johnson was still available later on in the first round. I think, what was that, in the mid-teens, early to mid-teens or something like that. I don't remember where it was, but I wasn't really paying attention to the Jets when they were drafting. But just those three guys in that first round, insane draft this year. I put them right there. I think the Ravens had a really good draft as well, which I hate to say, obviously, as a Steelers fan, but the Jets, I think we're going to see some great dividends. What that usually means, though, is first years. There's going to be some of those hiccups, right? We're going to see some of those electric games where it's just like, oh my goodness, these are the New York Jets. Oh my goodness. And then there's going to be other ones like, okay, they're young. That's the Jets. That was expected. Things like that. So, I mean, with that in mind, I really want to look at their schedule. I really want to see what we have for them. I know previously in doing this over on TikTok, that's where this idea was inspired to talk through kind of the seasons and projections of where we think they would end. I think I had come out somewhere around 8 wins for the Jets, but let's go through this. Let's see what we come out with revisiting this, and let's get a feel for it. Baltimore Ravens. So week 1, New York will be at home opening against Baltimore. Baltimore healthy. Again, the only weakness I see there is that passing piece, not having a big threat out in the passing game. I could be wrong on that. I haven't revisited their roster. Again, they had a good draft. So that we could see some improvements there for Baltimore. But at home with New York, I don't think it matters. I think Baltimore is able to come in. New York will still be getting a feel for who they are. Young guys, fresh draft, all those things. Baltimore has a good core group on all sides of the ball, plus the young bucks that they just added in. So I think we see a win for Baltimore, a loss for New York to start us out. So the Jets start out at 0-1, and then they travel to First Energy Stadium. Cleveland is a mess right now. And I think I just saw a video on Twitter just the other day, guys. Actually, I think it was just yesterday, of where Baker Mayfield was doing an excellent thing. He was being out there with the youth program, throwing footballs around, investing in the kids. Awesome to see. While Deshaun Watson was pleading his case and was in doing his whole thing with illegal stuff. In the interview afterward, it again, what I have been saying, I think still holds. Baker's not going to play another down for Cleveland. I don't see it. He himself has clearly stated. I think we both have come to an understanding on either side that we're ready to move on. And the guy keeps asking, "Are you gonna play? Things happen. Deshaun sits out. Are you gonna play another down for Cleveland?" I think it's pretty well understood by both of our camps that I have all the respect for Cleveland, for the fans, for my time here, and he goes the whole rigmarole around, and it's very, very obvious he's saying, no, I'm not playing another down for Cleveland. At first, I will say this, at first he did say it would take some reaching out. So I don't think Baker plays another down. Deshaun probably suspended for the year. You're down to Jacoby Brissett, and I said this when I was talking about the Steelers playing against them. Steelers sweeping the Browns this year because of this whole situation. I think what we see is Jacoby Brissett, and then whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to what we have seen out of the liabilities of Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs might get some playtime. And beyond that, maybe there's somebody that they pull out of free agency or that they get through finally trading away Baker. Maybe that's what they have in the cards is, okay, if we're going to trade away Baker, we need to look at trying to find some sort of backup to bring in, because nobody's going to give a lot for that. But anyway, we'll talk about Browns more when we talk about the Browns. But I think the Jets travel to Cleveland. I think the Jets get a win. I think the Jets get a win and start out at 1-1, and then they come back home to MetLife Stadium. And Cincy comes to town. Cincy's good this year. They were good last year. I'll be the first to admit I undersold Cincy. I thought Cincinnati was going to be last in the division last year. If I remember correctly, I thought Cincy was only going to get like 6 or 7 wins last year. Joke's on me. They were in the Super Bowl. But from last year to this year, I've only seen improvement for Cincy. They're going to beat a team like New York. Doesn't matter if they're at home or away. So New York drops to 1-2. And then they travel to Hines to play Pittsburgh, and this was one that I talked about. I'll give the win to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think Pittsburgh can defend home. I do think that they can win the game, but I emphasized it. If you remember in that episode, I emphasized that the Jets are a team I would not be surprised if we find an L on Pittsburgh's board at the end of that game. They're going to be electric at times, and I do think that they could surprise on the road, week 4, down 1-2 on their season, and then they play a top defense, and all of a sudden are making them look silly. Like, I do see that potential. I'm going to give the win to the Steelers out of practicality, but out of potential, I think New York could get a win here. So, for the sake of this conversation, though, the Jets 1-3. Let's tack this, though. Let's remember this. The Jets could get a win over Pittsburgh. I don't want it. Prove me wrong. Right? Let's go, Pittsburgh. But the Jets, man. The Jets. Week 5, they come home and they play the Miami Dolphins. Now, in the division, I had said earlier, I think Miami is going to be, they're going to have a team of potential, and they're going to underwhelm. I don't care what we're seeing about, Tyreek saying about Tua being more accurate than number 15 over in Kansas City, but it is what it is. I think we're going to see Miami do what Miami has done for a long time, and even when they have a great defense, when they have improvements on offense, we're going to see them underwhelm. It's the nature of Miami, right? So I do think, though, I don't think they're going to be horrendous, but I don't think they're going to fulfill the potential that they keep. It's like I'm looking for this taste out of this meal, but where is it? It's almost good. It's almost as good as it should be, right? So I think the Jets are going to split with Miami. I think the Jets even look to potentially split with the Patriots. But I don't see the Jets beating the Bills. I do not see the Jets beating. The only way I see the Jets beating the Bills, all right, is if they play each other. I'm going to scroll down here real quick. I got the schedule up in front of me. That's what I'm going off of. Yeah, no, they play Buffalo week 9 and week 14. I would say this, if the Jets were to play Buffalo somewhere in week 16 through 18, and Buffalo has already secured the home playoff game, or they're, week 17, 18, they're about to, right? I could see the Jets getting a win because they're benching players. That whole situation that happens at the end of a regular season. But I don't see that happening at week 14. That's way too soon. Way too soon. So I think they'll split with Miami, split with the Dolphins, and then the Jets will lose both games to the the Buffalo Bills. Golly, just talking about them, can't remember. So right now we got a 1-3 situation, and then they play Miami at home. I'm going to give them a win at home, put them at 2-3 to start the season, and then they travel to Lambeau against Green Bay. Again, we could see some surprises, but I'm going to give this one to Aaron. It's hard to bet against Green Bay, against Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. So I'm going to give that win to Green Bay. So the Jets at this point, week 6, 2-4. 2-4. And then they travel to Mile High against the Denver Broncos. This is a more realistic, in my opinion, this will be a more realistic snatch away win. Again, practicality says Russell Wilson, Denver Broncos, they will play each other. They obviously, it's right here on the schedule, they'll play each other. Golly. But practicality says Denver will beat the New York Jets. But again, again, what what are we looking at? My headphones just shut off. What are we looking at? How, I, we're looking at a team that has potential to win against teams they shouldn't have any business winning against. Denver at home? For the Jets to win against a team like Denver at home, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. And I think it's a kind of crazy that can happen this season. In fact, in fact, I don't have them winning against Pittsburgh in this mock. I don't have them winning against Lambeau in this mock. I'm giving the win to the New York Jets against Denver. I'm giving it to them because I think one of these bigger team games, they can pull out a win. I really do. I really do believe it. Let me know if you disagree, but I'm going to give them a win in Mile High Stadium. Surprising people, electric game, maybe a close game. See some good defensive play against Russell Wilson. Uh, a good game for Zach Wilson against the uh, the defense there in Denver. I mean, I can't forget about Brees Hall, right? He's the running back for the Jets as well. So I think I'm going to give them a win here. What does that put them at? That puts them at 3-4. A loss against Green Bay, a loss against Pittsburgh, a loss against Cincy, a loss against the Ravens. Yep, 3-4. Okay? And then week 8, MetLife Stadium, the New England Patriots. Now, I haven't looked into all the pieces about, how well in the AFC East do they do against each other in each other's stadiums. I know, like, for me, when I think of Pittsburgh and Baltimore, for some reason I expect Baltimore to win in Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh to win in Baltimore, right? I don't know why. It just seems to be the case. I don't know if that's the case with New York and New England. I do think they split here. I'm gonna give I'm gonna give the win here. Did I already give a win to? I don't know if we already watched them play. No, we didn't see them play yet. So I'm gonna give the win here to New York over the Patriots at home. I'm not sure if it's going to be the opposite of that. Well, we'll see New England come in and win in MetLife, and then we'll see the Jets go to Gillette and win there. But we'll give the win here to the New England Patriots, which will put them at 4-4. My apologies. And then against the Bills at home, we'll give them the loss, so that'll make them 4-5 going into Week 10 bye. Good placement for a bye, starting off with those 9 games week off and then finishing out with what, 8 games. So that's a nice bye week location. And then they come out and they'll play New England again. I'm going to give them the loss here in Gillette. Again, could go either way, but I think they split with New England, so that puts them at 4-6. And then week 12, they're at home against the Chicago Bears. And this is where I'm talking about. I really do believe that we could see the Jets do something crazy, like win against a team like Denver in Mile High Stadium. Unprecedented. Like, nobody expecting that. But then at home, lose against a team like the Chicago Bears. I don't see a lot coming out of the Chicago Bears this year. I don't. And yet I could still see the Jets losing to the Chicago Bears at home. The Jets have that feel this year. And so I'm going to give them a loss against Chicago here. A loss against Chicago. It's a late November game, afternoon. That shouldn't have big effects on that. It's going to be in New York. Maybe it'll be a little chilly, but big whoop. I think Chicago's used to that, right? I think Chicago can come in, get a win, and that'll be a kind of exciting point for Chicago at this point in the season because they're probably not going to have a great season either. So I'm going to go, what does that make it? 4-7? Is that what we're at? 4-7? And then they travel to Minnesota on December 4th, US Bank Stadium. And this is where, again, back and forth, back and forth. They're playing the entire NFC North this year. Minnesota, though, is a team. I think Kirk Cousins. I think Captain Kirk is severely underappreciated. I think he has consistently shown that he can do well. He has done well. He doesn't do well on, if I remember correct, Monday Night Football games, I think it is. He does not do well. I think he's like 1-8 or something like that. I can't remember. But consistency-wise, when you look at across the board, not just Monday Night Football games or Sunday Night Football games, I forget which it is, he does well. And so I'm going to give the win to the Vikings at home, which is going to put these Jets at 4-8. 4-8. And then they're going to travel to the Bills, Highmark Stadium, going to be 4-9. The Bills get the win there. And then they come back home, play against the Lions, and I think that that'll be a game that's just going to be fun to watch. The two teams that I talked about earlier that are going to be fun to watch, I'm going to give the win to the Jets, though. It's going to be a close win. They come back home after a 3-game, potentially 4-game skid out of the bye week, potentially. And they get a win against the Lions at home, making it 5-8 or 5-9. I'm trying to keep up with my math here. And then they play the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. I see them stacking another win, putting them at 6-9. Jacksonville will make a little bit of improvement this year, but they're not going to be great. They're not going to be great. And then they travel over to Lumen out in Seattle. Far travel. 2 wins in their pocket. 5-9 record. No, that doesn't sound right. What are we at now? 6-9 record. And now they travel out to Lumen. And again, Seattle, I don't think is going to be as good as people think. I still think Denver made out better on that trade, but I do think there are some pieces that Seattle made out with. I think Noah Fant was a huge piece that they made out with on that. Obviously, moving forward with the draft picks, they've got those moving forward. But for this season, I don't know. It's going to be a struggle of a season. Maybe they win one more game than last year. I don't know. We'll get to their season when we look at it. But the Seahawks, I think, are one of those games, again, where the Jets, they'll probably fight with each other. And I'm going to give the win. I'm going to give the win to the Jets, making that 7-9. And then week 18 playing the Dolphins in Miami. I forget if I already gave them the win earlier. I think I did. I think I gave them the win in week 5 over Miami at home, which means this would be a loss, which means from me just talking through this, we're looking at the potential of a 7-10 season from the Jets. Now, that doesn't sound like a great year. They only had 4 wins last year. So it's 3-game improvement. Now, when I had talked on TikTok Live about this, if you want to join in on those conversations, live on TikTok, Tuesday nights, search at Delcary. Don't have live feature for Cleats Off the Couch at this current time, but we do chat about those, and a lot of times those actually influence where some of these conversations come from for the podcast. So I got the Jets from this conversation getting 7 wins, 3 over last year. TikTok conversations, I had the Jets getting 8 wins. So my win swing for the Jets is going to be 7-9 wins. 7-9 wins. 7 or 8 is probably more likely, but we'll give them the benefit where they could swing high to 9. 7-9 wins. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you think the Jets are going to be an exciting team to watch this year? Or am I just overblowing it? What do you guys think? How do you think they'll fare in the AFC East and in the AFC landscape in general? Obviously, we know the AFC is going to be a tough road this year. Tell me in the comments, and I look forward to the next team we talk about and what's to come in 2022 on Cleats Off the Couch. See you guys.